Welcome back, travelers. Today we are going to show you how to float items, sync items, and more importantly, put them on an angle while doing so and hide the item they are anchored to. If you don't know what I mean, don't worry, it's all explained in this video. But first things first, let me take this hat off because it turns out a lot of glitches have difficulty if you're wearing a large brimmed hat in the game. So I do recommend that you change your outfit if you're having difficulty doing any glitches in Palia. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. The first thing that you're going to need to do is make your base unit, which involves 2 walls on top of each other, a shelf you can rotate, then another wall on the shelf, and a floor attached to the wall that you placed on the shelf. Next, you're going to need an anchor item. This is an item you're going to place the item you want to sink or float onto. This item will always be visible and locked to the float or sunk item. In this example, we're going to use a camping stump and a ladybug plushie. Place the camping stool on the floor. Then, once placed, pick it up again as if you're going to move it and drag it to the ground, but don't place it. Instead, you're going to click the number key associated to the item you wish to sink, in our case, the ladybug plushie. You will then place the ladybug on top of the camping stool using your alternate placement key. It should be on the keyboard as the letter V, but can be changed in the game settings. Then when you move the camping stool, after placing the ladybug using the alternate method, the ladybug will snap back to what the camping stool's original position was, meaning it will now be at a lower level while the camping stool is at a higher level, causing a sunken effect. In some situations, an item will be ground locked. This means you cannot place it on a stool, a table, or other items. In this situation, you have 2 options. You can use a builder's floor, or you can use a Winter Lights red present as the anchor for your sunken or floating item. The method is exactly the same, except instead of putting something on the floor, you're using the floor itself as the anchor, or you're placing the red present exactly how we did with the stool. In the clip I just showed you, you'll notice that the sunken item was on an angle. That's because when I placed the red present on the floor, I took an extra step. Let's go over it. You'll start with your base exactly how it was before. 2 walls, a rotatable shelf, another wall, and a floor. This time, my anchor item is a red present, because this particular vase is ground locked. The extra step I took is rotating the shelf after placing the anchor item on the floor. This allowed for a rotated item when moved. How much you rotate the shelf will affect how rotated the item is when you move it. If you want a slight rotation, rotate it only slightly. If you want a almost full rotation, full rotate the shelf. You can play around with different options to see what you can make happen. This works the same for when you float an item as well. But before we get into that, let's address an issue. The fact that these items have an anchor, and that anchor is always going to be visible. Maybe that's not an issue if you're using a table or a camping stool that fits into the environment you're decorating, but a red present is pretty obnoxious. There are probably many methods to hide your anchor, but I'm going to show you just a simple one in this video, since the primary point is teaching you how to sink and float, not necessarily hide things. In this situation, I have my vase anchored to my red present, and I want to hide the red present but make it look like it fits into the environment. So what I'm going to do is select the red present with the vase attached and just move it out of the way. However, I'm going to use the same alternate method. So I select the red present, shift it over to a new position, and then using my number pad, select a different decor item. After that, you can put the decor item that you currently have in your hand away. Next, you will take the decor item that you want to use to hide the red present and place it where the red present anchor originally was. All you have to do now is swap plots, and when you return, the red present will have snapped back to its original position. This is because you didn't really place it. Instead, you just temporarily let it sit somewhere because of the way that you brought out a new decor item rather than just placed it down. I have other videos on this type of method that you can check out after this video if you're curious. A quick note before we move on to floating items. If you're having trouble syncing an item, especially on an angle, the issue might be that you need to move your base wall, the two walls, to be on a white line on the decorating grid. I don't know why this happens, but if you're having difficulty, try putting that wall directly on a white line and you'll probably see a better result. When it comes to floating an item, I have a whole nother tutorial video on how to do this, but it's focused on bug plushies to make them look like they're flying. So let's do a refresher and use a different item in this video. Just like syncing, the height difference from the anchor to the item you want to float is the difference in the height you'll end up with. For example, if I try to float this book off of a stump and I want it to be very high up in the air, I'll want to use my base structure because it can go higher. But if I just want it floating a little bit and off to the side, I can use something as simple as a builder's block. Just remember that certain items only combine with certain other items to use as an anchor point. Plants can't go on everything, but they can go on builder's items. So theoretically, you can float a flower, but you can only float it off specific other items. The best thing you can do is work your combination of item prior to trying to float it. Make sure the items you want to stack together can be stacked just in a normal setting. There are, of course, much more advanced combinations and ways to have things floating off of hidden underground items, but for this tutorial, we're going to keep it very basic. Of course, feel free to play around with what you have as knowledge for glitching, and I'm sorry that this video is for PC only, though I will be making a Switch-friendly version, and I have many Switch-friendly versions for glitches already on my channel. So if you found this helpful or you want more, definitely give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you feel like it, but most importantly, have a very magical day.